welcome to this podcast, Fits Your Macros. If you'll notice, it's a little empty here. You are just getting me, the macro queen, Caileen. Ryan is not feeling well today, and instead of just scratching the whole thing, because we just came back from like a month hiatus, we decided I'll just do a solo little podcast here. You guys let me know if you like it, if you hated it. If you hate it, I'll never do it again. It's fine. But if you like it, let me know too, because that will be a little confidence boost because, obviously it's my first time podcasting. So, just a quick update. Usually we have a little update about things, and we'll get deeper in this in the next episode. But yes, we officially started prep this week, which is super exciting. Got a pretty decent macro cut, but nothing terrible yet. It feels really good actually now. But yeah, so far energy level's great. Lifts are going fantastic. So no complaints here. But it did make things interesting for the if it fits your is it worth your macros? Yeah, so I got a request for, I don't know if you guys have seen, we have Little Debbie's has a collaboration with some ice cream maker, and they've just done like all the Little Debbie snacks in ice cream form. And so I was going to buy 5 of them, but when I checked out, one of them was all like fucked up, which is really sad because it was a cosmic brownie one and I was very interested in that one. But I have to go back to the store today anyway, or maybe tomorrow, because I did buy eggs, and last night my daughter just fucking dropped them. Like, not like eggs are expensive right now or anything, right? But anyway, so I gotta go back to the store anyway. I'll pick those up. But anyway, so I have the 4 flavors today. I did the honey buns, the oatmeal cream pie, the zebra stripes, and the Swiss roll flavor. I taste tested them all this morning. I will only give you one of them today, and the rest of them you'll have to go on my TikTok and see how they taste. I haven't even uploaded a single one. I will be uploading them through the week because life, okay. But anyway, so the one I will choose, let's see. You know what? I'll save you money and I'll go with the one that I liked the least, which was the Swiss roll, okay? So the Swiss roll, it was a chocolatey base, but, and I liked Swiss rolls a lot when I was a kid, so I am surprised that this one is lower than some of the other ones that I didn't even like or still like don't care for in real life, but just not a good chocolate flavor. Like the outside of the Swiss roll is just like that fake chocolate. Kind of what this tastes like, and it's not good. So don't get that one. However, the rest of them, you'll just have to tune into my TikTok and find out. So if you don't already know, my TikTok is at Is It Worth the Macros. I review these ice creams in a bikini, so go have fun with that. All right, into what we are actually talking about today, which I didn't even talk about before I went into macros. Whoops, my bad. It's in the title, so you already know. It is my top 5 supplements. I get asked all the time about supplements as a coach. I think it's usually the second question out of people's mouths, besides like how much do you cost? Once they sign up. So I wanted to address this. A couple of things I want to address before we go into this. One is the main fact that if you do not have your nutrition and your training in check, these supplements ain't doing dick for you, okay? So make sure that stuff is in check before you even spend $1 on supplements, because honestly, that is the foundation of health, and all these little things are just what they are. It's supplements. It's the sprinkles on top of a beautiful training cupcake with a nutrition frosting, okay? So that's the first little disclaimer. The second disclaimer is that before you think about adding anything to your regimen, it is always a good idea to check with your doctor and see what they think about it, especially if you're on a lot of different medications. If you're not on a lot of medications and you don't have any health risks, most of these can be added to your regimen pretty easily. But if you do find yourself in the category of having multiple prescriptions that you take on a daily basis, maybe your health isn't the best, check all of these supplements with your doctor before you take them, please. Whew. I think that's all the disclaimers for the day. Let's just get right into it. This is probably going to be one of the shorter episodes. I mean, mostly because I don't have Ryan here bantering with me, or me bantering with him, whichever way we do this. But let's just get into it. The first supplement that I think that everybody should be using is creatine, okay? So, like, if you've been a gym bro or bra for a while, you've heard about creatine. It's very great for muscle development, and I'll explain why. But a lot of people don't know that basically everybody should be taking creatine. So let's go back to why I take it, when I take it, and so on and so forth. The reason why I take creatine personally is because creatine helps with muscular endurance, okay? So when you are lifting weights, there's a limited amount of creatine in your body if you're not taking it. And so throughout the muscular contraction, it gets used up really quick, okay? So if you're adding more creatine in there, there's more creatine that can be used to have the cells work the way they're supposed to make your muscle contract the way they're supposed to. And therefore, you get more reps at a higher weight. And because of that, you're going to be progressive overloading, which is going to help you build muscle. Okay? So, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And for me, the scientist in me, I have gone on and off creatine so many times because, like, one, I like to save the money. If I'm not, like, previous perhaps, I would not take it during my off season because I'm like, oh, you know, like, save money here. I won't take the supplement. But honestly, I've done it so many times, and like once I add it in, like the strength gains are just ridiculous. So I've just started taking it year round, and even days I don't lift, I'm going to start incorporating it because it's becoming more and more obvious that creatine actually helps with brain function as well. So it doesn't matter if you want to get swole, you should still be taking creatine for the cognitive benefits of it as well. So because of that, creatine tops my list of supplements. I know a lot of people are worried about bloating with creatine, but here's the thing about creatine. A good source is just going to bring water into the muscle as well, which is maybe going to make you feel bloated, but it's also going to make you feel swole. So, like, for the same reasons you're scared to take it, it almost doesn't make sense because you're going to get swollen in your muscles too. And I'm telling you, every single client of mine who has taken creatine ends up fucking loving it. And they're like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't take this earlier. And so as far as dosing goes, I personally do not like drinking a lot during my workouts. I know people put creatine in like their pre-workout, or some pre-workouts have creatine. I don't. Oh, and let me preface all of this by saying I am not going to name any supplements by name. This is not paid for by anybody. I do have affiliations with certain supplement companies, the only ones that are the most reputable to me. And if you want the name and the product, I will absolutely tell you. You can either comment on the YouTube or send me a DM on Instagram. And if I don't get it, like, reach out to me like on a reel or something, because sometimes the messages get hidden. So I don't want you to think I'm ignoring me. But yes, I am affiliated with a supplement company. I'm not even going to name it, though, because this is not a sales pitch at all. This is just what I take for my everyday. So, the supplement that I take for creatine is actually pills. I like taking 3 or 4 of these pills. 3 when it's normal off season, 4 if I'm deep in prep and I just need a little bit extra. And the nice thing about these particular pills is that it also has what I'm going to flag as like a tied for number 1, because I take it together, is nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide is great because it helps dilate the blood vessels, which means that your muscles are getting more nutrients to the cells, okay? It also gives you a sick-ass pump, alright? So the pills I take have the 2 of them combined. Just like creatine, there have been so many studies lately that show nitrous oxide has been really, I don't want to misquote it, but it's been helping a lot with recovery for certain illnesses or prevention of certain illnesses. So I take it, again, every single day because it's in with my creatine. And so, yeah, As far as cycling creatine goes, like, you don't really have to cycle. I know there's talk about cycling it. You can just take it all year round if you want, and that's my personal opinion, and that's what I do now that I'm not being a cheap ass. I pay for it the whole year. I used to cycle it only because I didn't want to spend the money on it, but now I see the value in it, again, not only muscularly, but developmentally as well. So I think we've covered that. I will move on to my number 2, which might be most people's number 1, but if you've been following this podcast, you know I have been lowering my dependence on this over the last year or so, and that is caffeine. So a lot of people think that this is like the best supplement, especially for pre-workout, which I wouldn't disagree with at all, but I think there are some drawbacks of caffeine as well that I will get into. So caffeine dose is going to be dependent on a person. You might be super sensitive to caffeine like me, or you could be like Coach Ryan, who can drink like 5 Monsters and fall asleep like in 2 minutes. So I'm very caffeine sensitive, but when I do caffeine, I will take it before my workout. And as far as source goes, the source that I've been going, I have 2 sources actually. One is a caffeine pill with a nootropic in it, which, if you are unfamiliar with a nootropic, they're just basic herbs that will help you focus more. Again, I'm not going to name the one I use. If you want to know, you can DM me. You've probably seen me post it on my Instagram, though, if you're already following me. So I will sometimes do that one, or I will sometimes do this other chew. Again, I do not like drinking during my workout because as a female, I do a lot of hip thrusts, and I do not want to hip thrust with a full bladder. If you've ever done it, it is not the most pleasant thing in the world, and it gets a little dicey. Even squatting sometimes, deadlifting with a full bladder, like, I've had a kid, guys, like, not to get into too much detail, but you moms that have had kids, you know. So that's what I'll say about that. So I eat or intake all of my supplements as much as possible. So anyway, my other form, so I have my pill with the nootropics in it, which I really friggin' love it, because when I take those, I feel focused as hell, man, and like the mind-muscle connection is amazing. I really like those, but I don't always take it before a workout, especially if the workout's in the evening, because of the effects of caffeine on the evening, which I will talk about shortly. My other supplement that I like is like a little tablet, which kind of tastes like Sweet Tarts and vitamin C had a baby, and it also has creatine and nitrous oxide in there. So, and that's like a little fun prep treat. So sometimes I'll swap in between the 2 of those. But the truth is, you don't need a fancy pre-workout. You don't need that scoop of whatever. You don't need to be paying $60 for whatever pre-workout that your favorite influencer is getting. You can honestly do like a cup of home brewed coffee if you want. You can really pick your poison. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be a cup of coffee. If you like the pre-workouts, do it. But again, I don't like drinking during my workout. Sometimes pre-workouts have a few other different ingredients in there, which is nice. But like, you can also get those ingredients separately. I know Ryan has an affiliation with a company as well. I won't say it again. If you want more info, you can message him about it. And they do a lot of individual ingredients, which is really nice, because you can say, okay, well, I like this of this, and I like this of this. But anyway, I'm getting off track. The downside to caffeine is many of you work out after work, which is going to be in the evenings for most of you, except for shift workers. I see you, shift workers. Thank you, shift workers. You guys are amazing. But I did a whole reel on this, and it actually made a lot of people sad. We should probably do a whole podcast on it. But it basically, caffeine has a very long half-life. And what that means is that the half-life of caffeine is 8 hours, like a full-ass work day. So say you have a bang energy at 8 o'clock in the morning, okay? So that's 300 milligrams of caffeine or something like that. 8 hours later, which is, who knows what time is that? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16. 4 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, you have 150 milligrams still in your body. So the half-life is the amount of time it takes a substance to be half gone in your body. So in coffee's case, it's 8 hours. So if you go to the gym at 5 o'clock, you still have about 150 milligrams caffeine, and then you take your pre-workout powder, that's another 300. Holy Toledo, that means you have 450 milligrams caffeine in you, and by the time you're looking to go to bed, you still have a shit ton of caffeine. And going back to caffeine sensitivity, it doesn't matter if you're hella sensitive or not sensitive at all to caffeine, it's going to affect you, okay? It will affect your sleep, and sleep would be actually my number one supplement, but you can't like buy that. You just have to make that a priority. So because of the fact that it can interrupt your sleep, that's why it was docked to number 2, and plus I love creatine more. Hope that ties up all your questions about caffeine, and please, for the love of God, stop drinking caffeine after a certain amount in the day. Always have a caffeine curfew. Mine is like 12 or so. But I will have an occasional decaf, which, just so you know, decaf does have a teeny tiny little bit of caffeine in it still. They can't get rid of all of it. So maybe if you're a fan of the 3 o'clock coffee, start swapping that out with a half calf and then eliminate it down to a decaf. That's my little tangent on that. See, I don't have Ryan to reel me in here, so hopefully you enjoyed that little rant and you still are listening here. If you are listening, thank you. We're going to move on to number 3. And number 3 for me is digestive enzymes, okay? Okay, as a whole, we eat shit food, okay? And foods that maybe our body isn't used to breaking down. So digestive enzymes are really nice because they help break down the food completely. And honestly, the more in depth that your food is broken down, the more it can be used for building muscle, okay? Digestive enzymes can also help with like bloating, discomfort, or gas. So, I mean, when I have them in stock, which is almost always, I do burn through my bottle a little quicker. So I get 1 bottle a month and it lasts like, I would say like 3/4 of the month, but I do 2 in the morning, 2 at night. If I had an unlimited supply of digestive enzymes, I'd take 1 before every meal that I had. But I for sure take them if I'm going out for a cheat meal because that's just going to help me feel so much better. I mean, you know, most of the time when we're cheating, it's not with the wholest, cleanest of foods. So this will just help you feel better with them. There's tons of digestive enzymes out there. Again, if you want the one that I use, I really like the company I use because it's third-party tested, which is so important with supplements. Maybe I'll talk about what you should be looking for in your supplement company at the end as well, because I think that's very important. But anyway, not much to say about digestive enzymes besides the fact that, like, they help you break down your food, and that's amazing because it gets most nutrients to our muscles. Okay, moving on, we are going to number 4, which is something I started incorporating into my life about a year ago or so, and that is magnesium, okay? Magnesium has been so amazing in my life. Did I talk about that? Oh, yeah, I talked about this just for digestive enzymes. Sorry, just making sure I'm hitting everything. So, magnesium, I started taking this about a year ago. I started with like 2 capsules before bed. Let's talk about why magnesium is important. Magnesium is so important in like so many fucking functions in your body, okay? Like, it is so huge. And the sad thing is that like about 80% of all humans are magnesium deficient. And this is because of the soil in our ground. Like, our soil used to have a lot more nutrients, and because of our farming practices, or so they say, our stuff is just not enriched in these different elements. So yes, we have to supplement sometimes. And the thing about magnesium too is that when you start taking magnesium, you might not feel the effects as much, but it's more of a gradual buildup of effects because sometimes we're just so damn deficient that it's going to go to the most needed areas of your body first. So I know magnesium is helpful for sleep. And so if you start taking magnesium, you might not be, oh, I'm not sleeping any better. That's because like there's other shit in your body that needs to be sorted out first. So I take magnesium before bed. I actually take like 2 different sources of magnesium. One is the glycinate, magnesium glycinate, and the other is just like some powder I take. But I might look into switching that powder because I'm not sure about the ingredients of it. It's not my favorite, so but it's one that you can buy at like the grocery store. So that's why I started taking it. Magnesium helps, like I said, your sleep. It helps stress reduction. It helps things in your bowels. So if you're constipated, that might be a good option for you to check out. But again, even if you're constipated, you might not see results right away because there are so many other cellular functions that all that magnesium is going to help for. So make sure you have a reputable brand for that as well. And yeah, I guess I don't have much more to say about magnesium besides just I think everybody should be taking it. Again, check with your doctor. On to the last one. Yeah, this one's going to be pretty short, but you know what? I think sometimes short and sweet is nice and where it needs to be. So my last supplement that I take daily is L-Glutamine. Okay? So I talked a little bit about L-Glutamine in our sugar cravings episode. So if you didn't listen to that, check it out. There's lots of great tips to help your sugar craving, which just got me thinking about the fact that magnesium, back to magnesium, if you're like craving chocolate and shit like that, that is one sign of a magnesium deficiency. So, I mean, obviously a lot of things can cause us to crave chocolate, let's be real. But I can personally say it as an N=1, as in like myself, my experience with taking magnesium is I literally do not crave chocolate as much. Like, don't get me wrong, I still do and I'll jam on it, but like I can have a little bit and be okay. Whereas like I feel like in the past I could just eat chocolate forever. But anyway, moving on. We're back to glutamine. So glutamine, like I said in my other episode, it can be helpful when it comes to curbing your sugar cravings as well. But I like taking glutamine. It also has been touted for muscle recovery, which is like my supplement actually has that on the bag. I like it for my gut repair. Like I've been on this gut journey for a while, and maybe we can talk about that in another solo episode because that's its own thing. But it's really good for helping heal your gut. And along with that, gut motility, if you are catching what I'm putting down. So between the magnesium and the glutamine, I'm a happy camper in the movement department, you know. It's really going to help things going because of these like things that we're missing in our lives, essentially. So those are my top 5. Again, if you want more specific ideas as far as what I personally take, or you can ask Ryan what he personally takes. I don't know that he takes all the shit I take. But if you want more input on what I personally take, reach out to me on Instagram, DM me, I'll send you links. As far as what to look for in a supplement company, okay, so you guys might know I was a scientist in my former life. I worked in a lab. I worked in a lab that was GLP, which meant we had good laboratory procedures. And then I worked at a non-GLP lab. So at the GLP lab, everything was super strict. Highest standards. I'm telling you, like, I would have nightmares in the middle of the night because I'd be like, shit, did I sign off on that one thing that I did 2 weeks ago? Because everything was so documented. Everything was so clean. Everything was, like, perfect. Because that was the standard they were held to. The non-GLP lab, whew, it was like the Wild West there, okay? Like, I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to, like, rat the company out, but woo-wee! A lot of shit could fly there, okay? And so the reason I tell you this is because the same thing happens with places that produce supplements, okay? So there's good manufacturing practices and there's non-good manufacturing practices. So I think personally it is very important to have a supplement company that willingly abides by good manufacturing processes, to avoid possibly having supplements that are made in a bathtub, okay? Like, there is no regulation with supplements. So some of these companies, just to be awesome, will become good manufacturing procedures company, okay? And those are the ones you want to use because they're going to hold themselves to a much higher standard. Everything needs to be documented. They're not going to be double dipping their spatulas while creating things. Everything's going to be accurate because, like, let's be real. Like, there has been some shady shit happening in the supplement industry over the last couple of years. If you don't know about that shady shit, you can definitely look to Ryan's YouTube. He made a couple YouTubes about it, so search, like, I don't know, supplement industry. Maybe, Colin, you can link that if you want to. Anyway, so that's one thing I look for, is that they're good manufacturing procedures. The second thing I look for is that they're third-party tested. So that means they're sending it out to another lab that has no affiliations with them, and they're paying to have this testing done to certify what is in each supplement is actually in there for the correct percentages, okay? So pretty darn important, because with a lot of supplements, they'll just say, proprietary blend of this, that, and the other thing, and they'll list everything, but, like, without third-party testing, they could just be fucking lying to you, okay? And you could be, like, spending $60, $70, $80, $90, $100 on just fucking dirt in a capsule. Like, you don't know unless it's third-party tested. So, again, the company I affiliate with is GMP. Third-party tests everything. Super important. So I hope this helps you on your supplement journey. If you have any additional questions, I feel like there was one more thing that I was going to say, but it's not coming to me. Yeah, it's not coming to me. All right, so we'll just wrap it up here. We got like a little shorty for you, and we'll be back next week. I think next week we're going to talk about the changes that I'm making going from a gains phase to a cutting phase. So I don't know. It could change. So don't hold me to that. Hope you enjoyed this. If you liked it, please comment below. If you want more solo episodes, shit, I could like amp up the frequency of this podcast to like 2 times a week. You just let me know, and you know, you guys are the bosses, okay? So hope you had a great weekday. It's February. Keep slaying those goals, and we'll catch you next time.